Kei ngā tautenga o te kaharoa o te reo tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai anō ki tō tātou marae e hora atu nei. Roughly 18 months on from Cyclone Gabrielle, many Māori farms on the East Coast are still struggling to repair the damage done. As bad weather continues to batter the East Coast, locals keep an anxious eye on both the river levels and the hills above. The continued impact of climate change has forced some to change the way they farm. Me te whakatau kaupapa hei tiaki i te oranga tonutanga o te whenua ki ngā rā o a pōpō and make decisions to future-proof their land. Irena Smith reports.
Getting her hands dirty is all part and parcel of being a farmer. And it's that knowledge that drives Pania King to do what she does to support East Coast farmers.
People are struggling, like they're chasing their tail. You know, we had a lot of progress with recovery work after hail, not expecting that Gabrielle was going to have the impact that it did, and all that good work was taken down the river, really.
Along with local agribusiness consultant Hilton Collier, they were some of the first to get support and supplies to farmers on the East Coast in the immediate aftermath of Cyclone Gabrielle.
To partner with federated farmers to take that support of a tractor, a rammer, fencing material and 2 fences to start at the top end of the coast this time to fix up all the infrastructure and the fences along that state highway to keep not just our stock off the road with my role, but also to roll that support out of the farm gate to make sure our whānau travelling those roads at night when the stock's on there, that they're safe as well.
The thing that's, I suppose, surprised me and disappointed me, especially as I've gone further from Gisborne, finding a lot of our whenua Māori blocks didn't seek the help or didn't get the help that they should have otherwise have got because they didn't know about it. And it's something we often see, the inability of mainstream to connect into our rural communities. Wellington thinks that they send an email and we respond. But that's not how communication with Māori works if you want to be effective and impactful. I think we're starting to see the gap between the well-resourced farms and the more modest farms starting to widen. And that troubles me because, you know, we should all be rising on the incoming tide together, and I don't think we're doing that at the moment, which is why we have the Tai Rāwhiti Whenua Collective, to try and rectify that growing imbalance between those blocks.
In her role as Māori Agribusiness Advisor for Beef and Lamb New Zealand, Pania hosted the Minister for Agriculture and Forestry, Todd McLeay, at an event to give local farmers information about planting the right trees in the right places.
If you have whenua that can't withhold or stand the weight of pine trees, why are we putting them there? You know, we've got to look further over the dollar sign, you know, for our mokopuna and our mokopuna after them.
We've announced quite a bit of change in agriculture already since the election. It's only the start.
Farmers who gathered in Uawa, Tolaga Bay, say while reconsidering land use is something they are open to, many are still waiting for support to fix damaged accessways.
We need to really look forward with our land use on what the best thing for the environment is, because everything else, like you say, will stack up. I was a junior advisor in the Longi government when Cyclone Bola hit. I flew up here for meeting after meeting after meeting, and it feels to me that we keep repeating things by fixing what we're already doing, because normal apparently is what we should aspire to. But we have to do more than normal.
So,
we need your support to get funding and to get a decision, and obviously it's a collaboration between us, government and council. Several of us have been told that we will get nothing before 2028, and that means that we're stuck on the other side of a river with no access, and as you can probably tell by looking at me, 2028 doesn't work.
Farm just outside of Tokomaru Bay knows firsthand what it takes to restore access to those cut off after the cyclone.
Hikawai Bridge, which crosses the river of the same name, was destroyed when Cyclone Gabrielle barreled through. It meant Gisborne and Ruatoria residents either side of the bridge were forced to use an alternative route.
Kuru Contracting, who are the major contractor on the coast here, at that time came to us about a solution. And so we decided on a handshake on Thursday the 16th of February that we would build a road together. That road took 5 weeks, 2.2 kilometres at a cost of about $1.8 million. That excluded the laneways, the culverts, the cattle stops, a lot of the other things that we needed to do for this whenua to be farmed, to be stock-proof. But ultimately we did it for people. It was a humanitarian issue. It was also really important for primary industry because there was no other access. There was no throughfare for heavy vehicles.
Another Māori farm in Ruatoria, Tutu Matai Station, was one that was holding more stock than usual when roads were closed due to the cyclone.
Pleased with the proactive decisions around making a decision, making a call, having Pro Incorporation give the licence to the likes of kudu contractors who got on and did the work. And had that proactive thinking and decision-making not happened, we would certainly have waited somewhat longer for that to, thanks to the incorporation, to Philip Hope, Kari Portai, the governance of Pro Incorporation, for allowing access through their whenua to our people.
Kawhia says he and his trustees know not only the weather events but also market changes will continue to impact the way they farm. So they have made some big decisions to future-proof and create new income streams.
The continued downturn in wool prices, like other farms across the district, we're making decisions around, what numbers we carry to ensure that, we're more sustainable in light of the current prices. And what's not encouraging is that at least for 2 to 3 years, those prices don't show any sign of improvement. So we've got to make good decisions around that. We have a further diversity in forestry interest on farm. So in 2013, we had 151 hectare planted under the East Coast Forestry Project.
And pine trees?
And pine trees, yeah, and the radiata pine, less topical then, more topical now, given the destruction post-Gable and hail. We, as landowners, ask a lot of our whenua. I do think we need investment. And where we ask, we also give, and we give in making the whenua right and inviting it to perform and be healthy. And that's trees in the appropriate place. That's careful livestock. That's courtesy and respect to everything that farming is. We've recently registered interest into the ETS, so we have the availability of, that passive income to make some decisions around capital development, sustainability, improving our homesteads, our traditional homestead tutumatai. At governance, we represent the wishes of and the dreams and moemoe of our shareholders.
Podo Farm is about 1,300 hectares, made up of a mixture of pine, natives and pasture for cattle and lambs. It's their 40 hectares of cropping that took the biggest hit and has contributed to some tough farming decisions impacting future revenue.
Apart from huge amounts of erosion, our flats were absolutely devastated with debris, slash. And what we've found is the flats have been badly contaminated because of the sedimentation, so the soil quality just isn't what it needs to be. So we're retiring the flats this year. In terms of income, by transitioning to livestock, we'll just be running sheep. You're looking at about 60% of what you get for maize. There is a lot of cost there for us in fencing and providing water, access ways for stock to cross drains and things like that. You could say it's been a wake-up call for us and many other landowners of the things that we need to do to improve the resilience of our whenua. Cyclone Gabrielle has reminded us as high country farmers, in addition to the flats that we have here, that erosion control is something that has to happen every year. Not only managing those legacy plantings of poplar and willow, we now need to integrate native plantings. We're not here for 10 or 20 years, we're here forever, and we need to develop our whenua so it's something that can be passed to our children and our children's children.
Rāwhiti Bridge is a temporary solution to the road access on State Highway 35. Hodo Farm continues to allow heavy vehicles, mainly logging trucks, to use the road that runs through their farm.
We spent thousands on livestock feed. Why? Because we had to move livestock from the paddocks from which the road was being built. We've put in power lines and electricity here because we had so much trouble with fencing material being stolen and poaching on our land. So we now have a security system here. So, you know, we've learnt a lot, shall we say. You know, the good, the bad and the ugly, because that's really what it comes down to.
No slack.
Philip was one of the farmers taking Minister Macleay on a tour of the local farms at his recent visit. He wanted to impress upon the politician how real the struggle is.
I mean, even after all the funding, you know, we're probably still $200,000 in the red just from, you know, like trying to get things back in action. And you've still got paddocks that are half the fertility what they used to be.
Doing a bit of stock proofing. Out of all the farms, this one here would have been hit the worst.
Cyclone Gabrielle may have done a lot of damage, but the bad weather hasn't stopped. Every time it rains, locals worry about how their home and roads will fare. The anxiety is unrelenting.
The well-being's not great. I think we're real, I hate saying it, resilient people. Why do we have to be resilient, really? We work hard because we know that our whenua is with us forever. We can't sell our whenua. Yeah, so we just got to get up and get out of bed and just do it all again the next day. If I could change something, would be to have better infrastructure to support what's happening in Tai Rāwhiti on the East Coast. You know, she's a long way from Te Araroa down to Gisborne, come to the sale, and the cost to get things there, the freight, the stock, everything. It comes at a cost to be so isolated. Yeah, and obviously to add to that, Highway 35, so all of a mess. Yeah, and that's our lifeline. So yeah, infrastructure is huge, and infrastructure to support what's happening on whenua. So much potential on the East Coast. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Those who not only farm here but live here agree. And despite tough times, the connection to the land and people keeps everyone moving forward, even if there's a few steps backwards or a few potholes to dodge to get there.
Ouch! Bloody potholes!
Tārake te kite atu, ko te mataua Māui, te Tai Rāwhiti me te Tai Tokerau. Ngā rohe o te motu kāore e arohia ana e tēnei kāwanatanga. Hoi anō, tēnā kōrero. Kāti, ko te taumā heke ki pari te wā whakamutunga e mauai a Portia Woodman-Wickliffe i te kākahu o pango o ngā mamaku o Aotearoa. Paris will be the last time Portia Woodman-Wickliffe pulls on the black jersey and takes to the rugby field for Aotearoa. The 32-year-old announced her retirement this week. She's one of the most recognisable and accomplished players in world rugby. Since first taking the field in a black jersey in 2013, she's won 2 World Cups in both 15s and 7s. She's won gold at the Tokyo Olympics and holds the record for the most tries scored in the 7s World Series. Yes, she's crossed the line 256 times. I kōrero a Portia Woodman-Wickliffe ki tō tātou whanaunga kia Jenny May Clarkson me te hōtaka parakuihi. Hei tāna. She considered retiring after winning the Rugby World Cup here in Auckland, but felt she still had something to offer, although she struggled at first.
Coming back from that, I had a concussion, couldn't train, came back into the sevens environment, felt like I was a little bit behind. Then that question come in, should I have retired just after the World Cup? Why am I here? What's going on? But then as I started to progress through the World Series, I was like, nah, let's get to the Olympics and see how far I can push. You know, I want to be in the best physical condition that I could be, and I think I'm at that point, and now I'm like, okay, what else can I do while I'm in this peak physical condition? So I'm excited because I'm feeling great and I feel amazing, but it's not over. Like, I don't think it's over for me in terms of what I'm able to do.
You talk about, you know, should I have retired after the World Cup? What was it about that you felt like you were behind?
I think you don't really want to look at the comments, but there's comments out there. Oh, she's a little bit slower. I thought she had retired. I didn't see her around as much. And then also out on the sevens field, I felt a little bit slower. Obviously missed a bit of pre-season with the girls. They went to Dubai, Cape Town. They're doing really, really well. I probably didn't feel like I could fit into the team now that they were doing so well in the team. Even just physically, was I fast enough to be around these girls? Was I fast enough and capable to step up against other teams in the World Series like Australia, against France?
I mean, that's extraordinary to me to hear you talk like that.
Yeah.
And maybe because, I know what you've achieved over that time. So I find it extraordinary for a woman who has achieved so much in a game that you still doubt yourself at this time in your career.
I think that has probably been my biggest weakness, my biggest Achilles is my self-doubt. Everyone would be like, you're stupid and crazy to think that way, but I don't know what it was that just held me back in that moment or in those situations of just complete self-doubt. I was unsure if I was good enough. And that was pretty much me throughout the whole time. Is I literally got out on the field and I was begging and pleading that I'd actually perform do something well, but it's not until pretty much this year that I've actually gone, man, I'm actually doing really well. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of how far I've come in terms of mentality. Like I said, that self-doubt has been rife throughout my whole career, but now I'm like, I'm smarter than what I was. I may not be as fast as what I used to be, but that doesn't matter anymore because I'm better than what I was.
Again, I go back through your history, and there's so much in that highlight reel, right, that talks to your success. But I want to talk to the other stuff. What's the toughest part been in your career? Where have those dark moments been?
There's definitely been a few, obviously, that Rio 2016 was hard. The build up to that point, and I think I spoke about it a little bit in the past, but the whole build up to those Olympics was really hard. Our team was going through some really tough moments, and at that time I think I was 24, still figuring out the sport, figuring out myself, and where I fit into that environment. So that was really difficult. You obviously have injuries come and go with sports, and you learn different parts about yourself within that. And then there's the part of me and my wife, sharing that with my whānau and with my mum and having those moments. So hard conversations. Those are important. Even with the conversation with my mum about my wife, that was hard. I had to sit down with her and tell her, I love this girl. She means the world to me right now, and at the moment I can't be with both of you because of an opinion. And we've come a long way. Like, we've been together nearly 10 or so years, and Renee and my wife, Renee and my mum are very similar. They're both Geminis. They have the same interests. They have the same things that bug them. So it's really interesting how things come around. But I've learnt a lot throughout those moments, and I think the biggest thing is I've learnt a lot about myself and the values that I probably hold and didn't live up to in certain situations. And I guess the biggest thing I've learnt is you can't go back and fix them, but you can always learn and grow. And say if there's a situation where I didn't show my value as much, then there's another time to come up. So there's been hard times, but I love them. Like on a rugby field, when you make a mistake, you love those mistakes because you know you'll never go through that mistake again, or you'll learn from that mistake. Same in those moments. I've learned a lot around communication, and it's never easy. I'm not one for confrontation. I don't like butting heads with people, and I'll do it in my most softest way to get those moments out there, but you need them to be the best that you can be in every aspect of life.
So going to Paris, this will be out there. So everybody will know for Portia Woodman-Wickliffe that this is it on the international stage. How does that feel? And then therefore, how does that make you approach Paris?
I still see Paris as just another tournament, whether it was an Olympics or whether it's my last, I still see it as another tournament. I froth rugby, like I love it, and I can't imagine it being any more or any less than what it actually is. Any chance that I get to play, whether it's trial games here in Tauranga or whether it's in the black jersey on the world stage, I love rugby, and for me Paris is just the pinnacle. Obviously the Olympics is the pinnacle.
Have you thought about what it'll be like pulling that jersey on for the last time?
No, yes, yeah. It brings me to tears thinking about it. If we have the opportunity to sing the anthem in the black jersey, that my hands are going sweaty thinking about it. Like, it's going to be a sad but exciting time. I think doing some mental skills work with our mental skills coach around dealing with those emotions is probably going to be a big deal. Have to work on that. If we don't even get to that point, and we don't get to sing the anthem, maybe even dealing with those emotions for the last Olympics and last time in the black jersey. But if we get that opportunity, yeah, I'll have mum and dad, I'll have Renee and Kai in the crowd. They'll be my anchor.
You talk about Renee, you talk about your daughter, Kaya. What do you think she thinks about your career?
Kaya?
Yeah.
When I talk to her, it seems like she has no idea or doesn't really care. But I know there's moments when she's in here watching, she could be watching anything on that big ass screen, but she's watching Black Ferns, she's watching our Commonwealth Games, she's watching us play Australia. Like, I know she admires it, and I know she wants it, because all she wants to do is play rugby. She doesn't know what she wants to do with 15s or 7s, but the coolest thing is she has that opportunity, but she loves it.
Do you see that you've done that for other girls too?
Yeah, probably don't. Not as much. It's not until you meet them in person, I guess, and that's one of the coolest things, I guess, is a part of the job, is you get to meet people that would have been you back then. You know, I looked up to you, Te Mapara, you girls were my idols, and if it wasn't a female athlete, it was rugby players, the Jonah Lomus, the Dougie Howletts, like those are the players that I looked up to. So now that's me to these young girls. And our daughter plays in an all-girls under-12s team, the only all-girls team in Tauranga, and they're constantly getting new girls into the team because of our team.
Cheer. Thanks again to Jenny May and the breakfast team for sharing their kōrero with us. Matariki was celebrated in many ways, but for more than 700 kaumātua, the long weekend marked a weekend of fun, whanaungatanga and kapa haka. Irena Smith was in Te Whanganui-a-Tara to get a taste of what it's all about.
Manawa nui tia a Matariki, manawa nui tia a tātou pakeke. Mai te hiku o te ika ki te wai paunamu, ko Te Papa Tongarewa te marae e rangona hiai. Te ihi me te wana, te hari me te kua. For 18 years, Taikura Kapa Haka has brought together our kaumātua from all across the country. And I tell you, it's all the feels. Kato tani wharau, e pupuri nei ki o rātou tikanga tuku iho. Ko Jackie Pompey tēnei, waru te kaumārua tona pakeke, he kopi te karawhiu. Pēhea tērā tū.
Ātāhua. Karo kia e kā ki te tū ki te whaka, e kari kia tū te kopi a o. Hai rawa.
Ea te tikanga o te kopi?
I mua, te tērā ngā wāhine ki te kopi ki te moa, kia hāra mai ngā tāne ki a rātou, nā ka puhi ata ngā mā. So tērā te I tū ai te kopi. Attraction.
E tua atu I te whakangahau, ko te oranga o te tinana, me te wairua te whai.
Ki to be going. I always look forward to our practices and our outings. This is what I live for. If it wasn't for this, I couldn't walk 15 years ago. And then they asked me to come to the Kapa Haka. I said, what for? I can't even walk. A month later, I gave my wheels up. This time I need it.
Informal, you know, we're here to enjoy ourselves, you know. It's not a serious competition, we're co-martyrs and kui.
Kia nei, kore te pai o te hua o tēnei kaupapa. He tiko hoki te koro he kura te tangata. Mohana tātou nei he taongo tātou kaumātua pakeke. Koere te wāna hei whakanui nei o tātou kaumātua I roto te ao Māori. Haunganoa kua tātou whānau tamariki, honoa he wā whakahira mō tātou pakeke.
He kaupapa hoki e tai ai e te katua te tū whakahihi.
Te rape ka mutu nei a taikura I tēnei tau, ka tere rawe te āta whakaro, mai pēhe nei, hei whakariti mō te tau e tū mai nei. Nō reira, koere te pai te hoa tēnei kaupapa. Pai mo te hinengaro, te ngākau, te hauora o tātou kaumātua, piringi rātou ki te tūirungi, te papa waiwai, te kotahitanga, te whanaungatanga.
Nei rā te kaupapa te pēpere kou, hei whakanui I te tauhau Māori me te ahurea Māori, I runga anō, I te aroha.
E mihi ana ki o tātou kaumātua. Koia hoki, kei a koe Irena, whakawe ka para o Marae I tēnei wiki, ka pai e hoa. That's Marae for this week e hoa mā. The team will be back with you next week ngā manaakitanga o te wā. Kia ora hui hui mai, tātou katoa. Ko te reo, te take.